Kendra Edwards with CarDon and Associates, and welcome to the CarDon Resource Hub. And today we're going to chat with Lynn about what it means to come into a skilled nursing facility for short-term rehab, which can always be a little scary proposition. And we're going to talk about what to expect as a resident and caregiver. And Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you just to kind of share, what does that landscape look like? What do we do when someone comes in, and what to expect that first 24, 48 hours and throughout their stay?
Sure. So for the first 24 to 48 hours, when somebody's admitted for a short-term rehab stay, a lot's going to happen. So nursing's going to come in and they're going to do a head-to-toe assessments and they're going to ask lots of questions, right? And they need to gather that for your medical chart. You're also going to meet with social services, and at that point, social services will set up what we call an initial care plan meeting. So it's important for you and your caregiver to try to participate in that either via a phone, or you can come in person to participate. And that's when we'll establish your goals and discharge plans. Next, therapy will come in and evaluate you. It can be physical therapy, occupational therapy, or even speech therapy that can come in. They will do an initial evaluation to establish goals.
So probably one of the top questions we get before someone admits for short-term rehab is how much therapy will they receive during their stay?
That can vary greatly depending on the individual and how long you were in the hospital and what your diagnosis is. But what will happen is from that initial therapy evaluation, an individualized plan of care will be established. And from that, they will determine how many minutes of therapy you'll receive each day. Typically, somebody will receive a minimum of about 5 days of therapy per week and about 2 hours a day, but that can vary. Some people get more therapy, some people get less therapy. And again, it really is based on your current functional level.
Yeah. So when you're there, they have what they call a care assessment or a care plan meeting. What should a family member or resident expect at that first care plan meeting, and what's the best way for them to prepare? And if you have any advice on the best questions to ask during that time too.
The initial care plan meeting is really important. It's a time for you to first meet your care team. So different disciplines will be there, like the business office manager, therapist, social services, your nursing staff. So it's a great opportunity to ask questions about medications. What does social services do? Who are my therapists? What time of the day will I be receiving therapy? So that's in time for you to work together as a team to establish your schedule while you're going to be in there. The other thing that's important is they're going to start talking about discharge planning. And I know that seems a little premature, but it really needs to start the first day that you're admitted to the community. And so they're going to want to know where you're going to discharge, the living environment. Are you going to a home, an apartment, or another assisted living facility? And how much care or support you're going to receive when you're there, or how much care you're going to need when you discharge home. The other thing that they will talk about is your anticipated length of stay, and that can be scary, but they're wanting to set the stage and let you know well in advance of how long it's anticipated you'll be in the facility so that you can make plans so that we can successfully discharge you to home.
Yeah, so you mentioned discharge. Always that goal is to get someone to return home as quickly as possible for them, a safe discharge. They're ready to go home. What types of things or advice would you give so someone is ready and prepared for that discharge? What questions, what things should they think through prior to that discharge to make sure it is as successful as possible?
Well, what I tell people is you, the resident, and the caregiver have responsibilities for a successful discharge. So as a resident or a caregiver, these are the things that I would do to make sure that I'm prepared when that time comes for discharging to home. First, always participate in your therapy sessions. That's so crucial. And I know sometimes you can be really tired or just don't feel like it for the day, but you need to take advantage of the therapy while it's there. And then if you're given exercises to complete in between therapy sessions, make sure that you do those as recommended. The other thing is that we're going to offer a home assessment to you. And it's important to realize that we're not judging what your home looks like, how clean it is, where it's located. We want to have you and your caregiver go to your home prior to discharging so that the therapy teams can assess the safety, accessibility, if the caregiver can actually help you transition on and off the toilet, in and out of bed, on and off of the couch, and if your wheelchair or walker will fit throughout the home. The next thing to consider is once that home assessment is done, you may actually need, or the resident may actually need some durable medical equipment. And what I mean by that is like a transfer bench into the tub, or a new walker, or items to help you get dressed. And those things typically need to be purchased prior to you going home. So this can give you an opportunity to get those items procured before you actually discharge. The last thing to think about is that knowing that the length of stay in a facility is very short. It's typically about 14 days, which is scary, right? Knowing that it's short, we need to allow you to determine what services you would like to have when you go home. So working with social services during that stay to look at what outpatient therapy services are there, what home health providers provide services in my area or are covered by my insurance. Are there companion care services that are available to help me when I go home, and how much do those cost? So again, just working with social services, making sure you're participating in therapy and anticipating that that length of stay is going to be short. And I can tell you that a lot of people have, concerns about that short length of stay, but really our goal is for you to return home and to recuperate in your home where it's comfortable, right? Because while we want a skilled nursing facility to feel like home, it just isn't. There's a lot going on in a skilled nursing facility. So we want you to be able to go home, eat the food that you want to eat whenever you want to eat it, sleep in your own bed, rest without interruptions, and recuperate with home health or outpatient therapy services continuing when you go home.
Yes, so once you go home, Lynn, a resident gets home, and if they're not thriving at home, what options do they have? I know they'll probably have a home health company or something that are there and providing some level of care, but what options does someone have if they're going home and not thriving?
Well, again, our goal is for you to be home and stay home safely, but we also know that at times a resident or will return home and their health starts to deteriorate, or they just are worn out trying to, complete their task, and they didn't anticipate that prior to going home. So you can, or your caregiver can actually contact the skilled nursing facility if it's within 30 days of your discharge, and we can help you readmit back to the nursing facility. We'll work with your insurance company and your physician to see that you can come back in, and that way you don't have to go to the hospital or have to go to the emergency room.
All right, that's great advice. I want to circle back. One of the things I wanted to cover and we didn't, at that first care conference in the beginning of their stay, are there certain items, or even when they're coming from the hospital, are there certain things and items that they should bring to that? I was thinking about an insurance card, making sure they had that information. What types of things would make them feel more comfortable? Clothes from home or toiletries or that type of thing. I just wanted to, you have any tips for that?
Yeah, and you were exactly right. I mean, it's important that we have your most up-to-date insurance card, right? Because we're going to be helping you find providers when you discharge. And we'll need to make sure that your insurance is covered, right? Or they're covered under your insurance. Also, clothes from home is a great suggestion. We want you to feel like you're at home. We don't want you to sit around in a hospital gown or a robe, but we want you to get dressed. It makes people feel better when they're dressed in their typical clothes. Now, I will say it's easier if you bring like a sweatsuit, elastic pants, shoes that are easy to slip on and off, something that isn't tight fitting but loose fitting, because you will be participating in exercises. The other thing that you might want to bring in is if you're currently receiving home health services or companion care services, bring a list of the providers that are currently providing care in your home so that we can contact them and prepare them for when you discharge so that they're ready to initiate those services immediately.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today, Lynn, and I know this will be very helpful for some folks. Thank you.
Thank you.